one set, and then envision an X basically for the next set of parallel lines, and you get diamonds out of that. So we'll do the same spacing on this next set. If I can do it here like that. This is really short, but you start to see the diamond show up. Maybe. That's what you want. What you don't want to do is do more of a square grid where they're just squares. Don't do that. So make sure you're overlapping in like an X pattern, okay? So you get the diamonds in there. I'll do it again a little bit longer.
45 degree.
Yeah, about 45, yeah. Like that. So get diamonds out of that. So that's what we're going to do with the back edge. You can use a ruler, although usually aren't as straight as the serrated knife. So you want to go down in the middle and work your way out from there. So you do the middle, out, and then the middle, start again in the middle, and then go out again. And then rotate it just a bit and do it again. Middle out, middle out. So there's the center line, and then equal spacing. You get to pick the spacing, but make sure you stick with it throughout. So middle out, and then on the other side, middle out. So straight down and straight up. What I did there was I shifted a little bit. I had it down, and I moved it so it cleared away the powdered sugar from the meringue. I want to make sure everything's covered up, so try not to scoot it. Just straight down and straight back up again. So rotating it. And then from the center out again. And again, same spacing. Just stick it in the knife. Now one thing about this cake is, because it's so dry on the inside with all the meringue, make sure you have enough syrup on the cake itself, top and bottom. And then when you seal it up with the buttercream, it needs to age at least 2 days, 3 is better. So that moisture that's inside the cake can kind of migrate to the dry areas, and it will soften the meringue, believe it or not. It starts out really crispy, but as it sits sealed up, it's going to draw moisture from the buttercream, it's going to draw moisture from the syrup. It'll soften up. So there'll be enough of a texture difference to make it interesting on the palate. It's not all going to go really super soft or anything. The cake will be soft. The meringue will soften a little bit, but there'll still be some kind of a crunch to it. And that's what the appeal is with this, but it has to age, again, at least 2 to 3 days before you eat it. It's better that way. If it's really fresh, it's hard to eat it. It's really dry, really crispy, crunchy on top. So if you didn't like it the first time around, as far as trying the last class's cake, you might let it sit a little bit, sealed up 2 or 3 days, and then try it. But it is a classic. Not everyone makes it. There are a few places that make tinier versions of this. And we talked about Dacquois. You talking about the meringue layers. There's a classical dessert called Dacquois. It's a D-A-C-Q-U-O-I-S-E. Basically, it layers of meringue with fruit and whipped cream. And it can be small variations of that. Some people use fruit mousse and whipped cream and real fruit, so it could be, but it's got to have the meringue layers in there too. So you'll see that, especially as a summer dessert, a light summer dessert. Yeah. So that's the Kirsch Torte. So again, the last thing goes on is the almonds. Keep them clean. If you have to toast more, which I'll have extra, it'd probably be enough for everybody. But if you have to toast more, make sure that you cool these off before you stick them to the cake, otherwise they'll just slide off. It's too hot. Alright. So cool them off before you use them.
Too hot to handle.
Alright, there's the Kirsch Torte.
Mark.
See.
Did you kill a snowman?
Well, you're
so much better than me.
Huh?
Go away, Steely.
So, next up's going to be the Sacher Torte. And I'm sure some of you remember seeing the last class's version of this. Maybe. If you have to level your sponge, do that. You might not have to, but some of you will. Level it. and then split it in half. And then we'll use the Kirsch syrup on this one as well. So the cut interior sides use the syrup. Over here on this table, please. On the inside is the apricot baker's jam. It's a thin layer, it's about 1/8 of an inch. As much as possible when you build this back up onto itself, make sure you have a flat top and flat sides. The reason why I say that is, we're going to glaze this with ganache, and any little ripple or groove is going to show up. So, I'm not going to ask you to do this for checkoff, but what is often done to get it super smooth is to do basically what is a crumb coat of ganache first, shape it, make sure this split down the middle is totally filled in because that's going to show up on mine. Let that set, and then do another finished coat of ganache so it's really smooth, sides and top. Again, I'm not going to ask you to do that. You certainly can if you want to, but make sure you don't get it too thick if you do it twice, if you coat it twice. So that first layer is just thin enough to shape it. Again, basically a crumb coat with ganache, and then the next layer is a total glazing with the ganache, like you would the torte, the dream torte. So you have that option if you want to. Let's clean up here. So the big thing on this is because the apricot layer is in the middle, it's going to want to shift on you when you stack it back on top of itself. So be very aware when you split it that you're cutting level, and then when you open it up, make sure you know where things are positioned. You might even cut a notch like they do in the book if you want. Cut a notch, so then when you stack it back up, you line the notches up on the side again, so you know exactly where it goes. Or just be very aware of how you take it apart so you can put it back exactly the same way. And then when you do, make sure the sides line up. So it's not offset. The bottom's over here, the top's over here. You have a little lip on this side, a lip on this side. But it's going to want to shift because that apricot jam is not so solid. It's going to want to move a little bit, so be really careful when you handle it. Not quite yet. Alright. So, this is going to throw you guys for a loop. Right now you're probably thinking, that looks really similar to a dream torte. Kind of is, kind of not. On this one, the Sacher Torte, we're going to glaze it off of the cardboard.
What?
And then move it back to the cardboard. Every time I do this demo, something switches people's minds. They start doing the dream tortes off of the cardboard. Don't do that, okay? It's just for the Sacher Torte, okay? Alright. So like I said, it looks similar, so I understand the confusion, but try not to do that. Alright, so moving it, building it, make sure everything's lined up. When you move it, make sure it's lined up too. So you want to support it as best you can in more than one spot so it doesn't bend, because if it bends, it's going to shift too when you lay it back down or set it back down. So make sure you move it flat as much as you can anyway. So onto a cooling rack, get rid of these crumbs, with parchment so I can capture that ganache and reuse it. And we got a few flat ones. This one I took out of the cage, so look there first if you need one of these. But it makes it a lot easier when it's after it's glazed to kind of pick this up, but there aren't any bumps and ridges in that cooling rack. And then we'll move back to, it's kind of dirty now. Anyway, back to the same cardboard round. So we're going to glaze it on the cooling rack, off of cardboard. So you guys know how to fix broken ganache? How do you fix it?
Cream.
Whisk it. Well, whisk it first, and then cream. Whisk and cream if you have to. You don't want to thin it out if you don't have to. So basically what this is an emulsion. If it gets too hot, it separates. And the way you get into emulsion is to agitate something. So you're making mayonnaise by hand. Anybody? Oh yeah. Or an emulsified dressing, salad dressing, same deal. You gotta agitate it either in a blender, using an immersion blender, or whisking it together, whatever. You're agitating it to get it to mix together. So same thing happens here. Usually the way something breaks like this is it gets too hot. And I mentioned this before, the butter will separate out, float on top, and everything else will be below that. So first things first, try to whisk it back together. If that doesn't work, add a splash of heavy cream and whisk that in. But it'll happen. As you do torts, one of you might re-warm the ganache from the reach-in. It might get too hot, and you'll be like, oh no! You'll throw it out. You can fix it. So, give it a stir. We're gonna glaze. Oh no, I can't glaze. Yeah, I got water on the bottom of this thing. Can you get a paper towel, please? Thanks. So, before I pour it, thank you. I'm going to wipe this water off. Same deal though as on the Dream Torts. You're just gonna do a spiral from the center out. But it's gotta be on the warm side, just like on the Dream Torts. And then I'll kind of linger a little bit on the edge, give it time to coat the sides. Side. Again, look for any gaps. I don't have any gaps, but I'm still going to take the extra ganache off the top. Oh, do I?
A bubble pop.
Oh, there it is. Thanks. So, again, don't go too low, just like the Dream Torte. Don't go too low, you're going to scrape the top. Unlike the Dream Torte, this is not frozen, so if you want to make a couple more passes, you can, but realize it's going to leave little ripples if you're not careful. Because as this cools down, it won't move on its own as much. But you want a flat surface if you can get it. So at this point, I give it a little tap. You can also do the same trick on larger cakes. If you do piping on the outside edge and just glaze the interior top of the cake, you can, well, it's different too. You actually can pick it up and tilt it so the ganache kind of runs and smooths itself out. Or if it's on a sheet tray or something, you just pick it up and tap it like this. Level it out. Man, it's not the cleanest one, but I'm gonna use it anyway. So it's glazed off the cardboard, and I'm gonna transfer it back to the cardboard. Kind of like the roll cake, we want nice and clean offset so we don't, well, it's already dirty, but so you don't leave any extra chocolate smudging. So again, this is off the cardboard, so be really careful getting these underneath so you don't damage anything. Try to center it as best you can. And then slide these out, so press down. Oh, hold on. Push down, slide it out. Okay. So you might even want to wait longer because I got some. This is part of this because I shifted it around. I got a little lip of ganache happened at the very base. You want to actually end up with a nice clean, kind of like this over here. Got extra ganache coming off edge at the bottom. So wait a little bit longer. Although I would not chill this because it will glue itself to the rack. Okay, so don't put this in the reaching because it'll kind of stick and then it'll be really hard to get off cleanly. You guys got a timer? Thank you. So it's on there now. The next thing we're gonna do is garnish the bottom. That's another thing, pay close attention. You're gonna take a piece of dark chocolate. It's gonna be on that big sheet tray where we took curls off of before, the tiramisu. take a piece of that or a chunk of that chocolate. Use a box grater. You guys know what a box grater is?
Yeah.
The smallest setting on that, grate the chocolate so you get just little, not quite powder, but really fine shavings of chocolate, really. Do that over parchment so you can funnel into a container like this. Now, because it is shavings, it can melt very easily. So what you want to do is find some kind of tool. Some people use a gloved hand, which can slow down the melting process a little bit, but I like to use an offset, kind of tilt it to the side. Choose the back of it. Now you want to pick a level to go up the side and then keep that level all the way around. So what I mean by that is try not to have peaks and valleys. Try to have one line, one horizontal line at the top of that masking all the way around. You can tap off the excess just by hitting the bottom of the, if there's any come off anyway, the bottom of the cardboard. So some cakes do demand a little bit higher level of detail work, and this is one of those tricks you should learn. It's fairly simple once you get used to it, but it can take some practice getting it level all the way around. It doesn't mean you can't go back and kind of touch it up, but so again, do the shaved chocolate all the way to the around the base. You can go higher up the side if you want to. I like the look where it's just barely showing up on the bottom. It's a little classier that way, but it's totally up to you. So once that is done, we'll actually do some writing in white chocolate on the top, as well as the design on the outer edge. So, what I've got now is just melted white chocolate. Just heat it over a pilot light, so not really a flame, because it can scorch pretty easy. Stir it up a little bit. And then fill a cornet about halfway. Now when you pipe any kind of chocolate, you got to make sure it's not too hot, because otherwise it'll come out of the cornet or whatever you're piping it out of way too quickly, and you'll have less control over where it goes. So if you think about the temperatures in the packet as far as tempering chocolate goes, there's holding temperature range for dark and white chocolate. Well, milk too. But guess remember what those are? Yeah, but dark chocolate. 88. 88 to what?
90.
90, good. Just a couple degrees, but those are the temperatures that chocolate works best at depending on the type. So it's just warm enough to flow, but not too hot, just gonna go everywhere on a spread. So the first thing I want to do though is do a design on the outer edge. And then on the inside, I'm going to write the word soccer, but not S-O-C-C-E-R. Yeah, you're thinking that word.
Yep.
All right.
Dog curls.
Close to the edge, but not so far that it's going to run down the side. There. So come up pretty close to the edge and make sure it's not running down the side. So what that means is you can wait and let that ganache set up a little bit. Because if you do this right away, the ganache on there might still be flowing over the corner there. It's still kind of warm. So you can give it a little bit of time and then do the white on the top.
but all the cameras on you right now.
No, I can feel it. Back on stage. Nuts. Yeah, don't shake the table and turn the pipe here, so be careful. That will make it more difficult. So you can do whatever design you want to do, and again, just like before, overlapping sets of lines can do pretty cool things. So, but do that first, and then you'll know how much room you got to write soccer in the middle. Don't do soccer first, and then, oh man, I got too close. I have little to no room. So don't do that. Do the design on the outside first, and then soccer in the middle. So, design first, and then you can do cursive or print. If you're not comfortable with cursive, you should probably try to practice that, because people love cursive on cakes. Or whatever, some kind of script, flowing script. And not, well, block letters work too, but try to do cursive. On this one you can do, you know, whatever you want, but so yes, I always have to practice. You know, yeah, it's the first letter of my name, but I always screwed up. Alright. Now we know how much space we got. A little high off the table, but just squeeze it in there. So get used to how that chocolate's going to flow, and increase the speed of your movement or ease up on the pressure. Usually we get ribbons where it starts to curl really quick. Putting too much pressure on it or not moving fast enough. So you might practice first on a tabletop and then go with it. Oh my gosh, I'll never see this again. So that's the soccer. Do you guys have any questions on it?
No.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I got a picture of your phone with a picture on it.
Nice. Picture of the picture takers. Hurry.
You should photobomb it right now.
No, because then they'll slow down the demo. So. There. So 2 cakes, and then dough oscillators are next. Alright, I'm moving it.
We need to cut.